Hello, and welcome to the Afterspark podcast, an episode-by-episode recap of the Generation 1 Transformers cartoon. I'm Els.
And I'm Specs.
And today we are going to be talking about, quite frankly, one of the most entertaining episodes in Season 3, Episode 81, Webworld. Let's talk about giant robots today, shall we?
Oh boy, we shall.
Our episode begins with Cyclonus, Galvatron, and Soundwave flying through space.
Ratbat is sent out and finds a deposit of Isidrite, along with several Autobots.
The Decepticons open fire on them, and Skylynx exclaims, "Eyes aloft, gentlemen! A rival geological survey has arrived." I love him.
How often do these sorts of marauding geological surveys happen?
Well, many times if the other people are Decepticons.
True. Ultra Magnus tells everyone to hold their ground.
We find out that Scourge is also apparently here, only for him to get immediately knocked over by Galvatron.
Bad luck, man. Bad luck.
Cyclonus attempts to talk Galvatron around to using strategy.
Anything can be a strategy. Going in and punching can be a strategy. But Galvatron raises his middle digit to them all and says, "Strategy is for cowards!"
God damn it, I miss Megatron.
He was perfectly sensible in comparison to this guy.
Did he sometimes do very silly things? Sure. But when I compare him to Galvatron, he looks like a goddamn genius.
So many tentacles, though.
I will say Galvatron is definitely lacking tentacles.
Yes. Perceptor is happy that Galvatron seems to be doing most of the work for them by punching out his own dudes.
This is further punctuated, by him punching a sweep when he tries to help their glorious leader fight Ultra Magnus, which Ultra Magnus, by the way, should definitely file a sexual harassment claim against Galvatron because he did not touch him appropriately.
Galvatron is flipped while in his alt mode by Sludge.
Cyclonus says they should help their leader, but Scourge is less enthused about this prospect after getting decked in the face.
Sensibly. The Autobots escape on Skylynx, regardless of Galvatron's displeasure at said escape.
Back on Char, Swindle and Motormaster tell Cyclonus that Galvatron will be the death of all of them, so Cyclonus better do something or they will.
I feel like their success rate would be low.
Possibly. But I don't know if I think Galvatron could beat up every single Decepticon.
I mean, they're all probably starving based on
True.
what we saw in earlier episodes, so who knows?
I mean, I think they'd probably have more success just all quietly quitting and leaving Char, to be honest.
Honestly, quiet quitting might be what they're talking about.
That's valid.
They leave, and a hologram of a Quintesson appears and suggests that Cyclonus look into some options to help cure Galvatron's disorders. So this is not the worst idea, but he is still taking advice from a Quintesson, so there's probably something else going on here.
Afterwards, on the Quintesson ship, the Quintessons all discuss how Cyclonus has taken, I quote, "the bait."
Meanwhile, Galvatron is being repaired by Swindle, and I wonder how much Swindle is charging for this, or if the premium is, not having his head on a platter.
Not getting shot in the face today.
Mm-hmm.
Cyclonus suggests they check out the planet the Autobots are exploring, Torculon. The same planet the Quintessons suggested. Cyclonus, buddy, gonna be real, maybe straight up lying to your omnicidal boss isn't the best idea.
They arrive on Torculon, Galvatron lands and begins screaming for Ultra Magnus to show himself, and upon not receiving any answer, just straight up starts punching things.
Yep, this is perfectly normal Galvatron behavior. He tries asking several nearby aliens, but receives no coherent answer from any of them.
Some ape-like inhabitants arrive and refer to Galvatron as the quote-unquote new admission.
They manage to stop Galvatron in his tracks with some kind of force field before shooting him with something that knocks him on his ass.
Alien elephant trap?
I mean, and Galvatron is not happy with Cyclonus right now.
For perfectly understandable reasons, for once.
The ape-like guys are called Tocoli, and one of them commands a cage to form around the unconscious Galvatron.
Cyclonus pulls the equivalent of hitting agree of an online terms and conditions page that he straight up didn't read, which he gets handed paperwork, which he then tears up instead of reading.
Galvatron is not pleased by his current treatment of being wrapped up in some weird web goo while the Tokoli scan him.
He is transferred to an advanced treatment facility.
They're attempting to get Galvatron to talk. All he's talking about is basically synonyms that involve the word kill.
I wonder if they tried the Rorschach test.
Me killing you. Me killing you. You dying.
Scourge advocates for taking the boss and leaving, which is, well, sensible for the underlings of the omnicidal maniac. But Cyclonus tells him to give it a chance.
Galvatron gets out of the web goo, but is immediately shot and knocked out again.
Yeah, alien robot elephant tranquilizer.
Sorry.
What it sounds like.
Knocked on his ass again. I don't think he's actually knocked unconscious. He's knocked on his ass a lot in this episode.
Next is psychomotor reintegration therapy.
Galvatron makes a gun.
In therapy! It's apparently you make something out of a whole list of things, and he made a gun. He made a ghost gun or whatever out of what was presumably perfectly benign objects.
Predictably, he starts shooting and is then shot himself and knocked on his ass yet again.
Galvatron is then subjected to exodrama therapy, or acting out his issues.
Role-playing! A green alien begins screaming, pissing off Galvatron, who, yet again, escapes containment before being recaptured by the web goo.
Next is a maximal intervention, which is sure to cure Galvatron's processing problem.
Cyclonus is concerned at why they hadn't attempted this already, if it will definitely cure him, but the lead therapist says because it may cure him of being ... Galvatron.
So, in reality, this means that the Tokoli have decided that Galvatron is basically untreatable and they're going to destroy his mind, or the rest of it.
Surprise, the planet they're on is alive, and it's gonna eat the parts of Galvatron that don't work so well.
Which may be all of it.
Probably.
So this involves giant green insects that are manifestations of the planet, and they're going to try and eat Galvatron?
Or eat his mind. It's kind of unclear. It looks like they're literally gonna eat him, but...
I mean, maybe they poop about at the end?
Yep, this is all that remains of Galvatron. A steaming pile of poo.
He comes out the other end physically fine, but brain dead.
that doesn't even seem possible.
Well, if they're manifestations of the planet, they aren't necessarily real.
I have no idea. It's not well defined. It's fine. Cyclonus decides at this point that, hey, maybe this whole thing wasn't such a great idea, but he's been restrained by the planet's web goo and the Tokoli.
He signed the paperwork. He agreed to this.
And this is why you should read the paperwork. Or at least keep a copy for reference, you know?
Because eating his brain or whatever is apparently the payment, or the reason the payment is...
Basically, if they're
Wait.
long-term patients, this is the outcome, and it was probably said in the paperwork.
Yeah.
They link Galvatron's mind to the planet, but Galvatron makes the planet go crazy instead.
Galvatron, Cyclonus, Scourge, and the Sweeps are able to get free.
Galvatron decks Cyclonus for his insubordination, then flies off.
The planet attempts to restrain Galvatron, but Galvatron has also entered the planet's mind. You're not in here with me. I'm in here with you.
I wouldn't want to be in Galvatron's mind. That sounds like a terrible place to be.
Yeah. And now he knows where to find the planet's consciousness, which is... Yeah, I wouldn't want to be in there with him either.
So Galvatron enters the planet's core and blasts it.
Okay, now I want to know whether Galvatron could make Alpha Trion go insane and...
No, now I'm just imagining Galvatron being much older and having more experience. It just, like, the episode would cut to, like, a therapist office that has manifested and Galvatron's laying on the couch. That's how I think it would go, legitimately. Galvatron has dealt with some serious shit. I'm willing to bet on that.
Sorry, it's just that came into my head.
It does beg the question, can he make Cybertron go crazy?
Yeah, or whatever the fucking thing is that Alpha Trion is in. I don't remember what the hell it is.
Galvatron is displeased that all the destruction he has wrought will only put the Tokoli back a few centuries.
He wants to murder the shit out of all of them because
he's Galvatron.
Yeah.
Cyclonus points out that the Autobots are probably a bigger concern right now, and Galvatron seems delighted to have the chance to kill Ultra Magnus.
They leave, and the Tokuli are presumably left to the mercy of their former patients and the possibly insane planet now.
Yeah, we don't really know the outcome of that from the planet's perspective, do we?
Well, maybe they needed to give the planet therapy.
How are you feeling, planet? Oh, you know, kind of crazy.
And that's the end of the episode.
So, funnily enough, we actually both follow one of the writers on this episode on Tumblr, Diane Duane. And I didn't even realize she'd written Transformers episodes until later, like after I started following her.
But she's talked about this episode on her Tumblr, and we quote,
"There's nothing specific to point out regarding the Transformers episode, but in the background were memories of how, as in any profession, you'll see people who practice psych well and honestly, some even brilliantly, and people who practice it as a job just to get by at, and people who practice it stupidly, poorly, or cruelly, sometimes all three at once. I'd seen all these kinds of psychiatric practice over a relatively short time, as well as many ways that the bureaucratic infrastructure of psychiatric care can misfire, malfunction, or outright oppress."
And also, in another interview, she's mentioned taking profound satisfaction in having Galvatron destroy the Torculonan facility.
Ma'am, what shit did you see that prompted this?
Probably a lot, because there is honestly quite a lot of medical abuse that happens in
That's true.
those
But
sorts
it just
of
makes me go like, because I think she only worked in it for like a couple of years is the reason I say that. Because like I'm just like, damn, she saw the gambit.
Yeah, but it's just, especially in that time period, it feels like it would be more likely to be something that would have slipped under the radar.
Probably. Like, hopefully psychiatric care has improved in the last 30 years, obviously, but
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, we will reblog some of her posts where she's talking about this. It is fun to see her talk about it, though, because I feel like she talks about, like, tormenting Megatron or Galvatron kind of a similar way that, like, a lot of the fans do. When she's like, well, I made him do this, which was just kind of fun, since I don't really follow any other, I think, Transformers writers. Anyway, join us next time for episode 82, Ghost in the Machine.
Hey, you remember when Starscream possessed Scourge? It's time to get back on that.
Yes.
Alright, so Els has both fanfic recommendations for today, so take it away.
The first is And I Alone Have Escaped to Tell You by Astrolot. Continuity is G1 Cartoon, rating T. It is Slash. Our pairing is Cyclonus and Megatron. And our characters are basically Cyclonus, Megatron, Starscream, Ironhide, Grimlock, Optimus Prime, a bunch of other characters, but those are kind of primarily the big ones. And I'm going to read you the summary, but then I'm also going to give a bit of mine because the summary doesn't tell you very much. But the summary for it was, "This is like some kind of bad dream," Ironhide said aloud. "No," Cyclonus said, low and harsh, "but it will be." So the character theme rec this is based on is Galvatron's insanity is his own undoing. It is part of a series, but you don't necessarily need to read the sequel unless you want to. I really, really love Astrolot. Like, she's considered, I feel like talked a lot within the fanfic community for Transformers, and this is like one of my favorite works for her. And none of like the summary does tell you that for some reason Ironhide and Cyclonus are in a room together, which shouldn't be possible because of the movie. Cyclonus time travels. He time travels back in the past. Shenanigans happen. Starscream hates his guts, and honestly, like, I enjoy Starscream. I hate him in this fic, but like they do such a good job of writing him as the most insufferable bastard of a plane. Highly recommend. It's really, really, really well written, and I feel like I'm not doing it justice, but just the concept of Cyclonus time traveling to the past is really interesting. And the other one is Metamorphosis by Sorlock _ Elbisvini?
It's invisible colors reversed.
Yep, we'll go with that. Continuity is G1 cartoon. It's rated G. It's Gen. There aren't any pairings. Our characters are Chip Chase, Soundwave, Wheeljack, Dr. Alcazar, Prowl, Carly, Spike, and Ratbat, rather. Yes, this is Spike and Spack. They're twins. You never know. In summary, I'm very mature, Chip protested. This is just like the work I've already been doing, except I'll be further away and they'll pay my room and board on top of the consulting fees. And then there will be evil robots lurking around waiting for a chance to shoot at your workplace, his mom said tartly. I really think you're focusing too much on the evil robots. Or Chip Chase gets a job, makes some friends, and conducts an ongoing cost-benefit analysis of continuing to engage with the human race. You know, normal teen stuff.
That sounds really fun.
It's a lot of fun. The reason we're recommending this one is that I think this episode was like Ratbat's first appearance outside the movie.
Probably, yeah.
Even though like we are several episodes into season 3.
More than several.
Yeah. It's part of a series of questionable, I think they're mostly standalone works called Spontaneous Earth. I don't even remember if I read them or if I did. Like, they don't really have bearing on each other, so they're very fun though. Like, this one's very fun. Definitely read it. I recommend both of these very highly. They're like some of my favorite fics in general.
Like, I know Astolat is talked a lot by people who aren't even in the Transformers fandom about how they read her Optimus Prime Megatron stuff and was like, this was fantastic. Yeah. And they aren't even into it.
No!
Or into the Transformers fandom.
There's another one she wrote. I can't remember the name of it right now. It is an Optimus Megatron one.
It's the one where they're stuck in a hole. And
it's so fucking good! Mm-hmm. Like, legitimately, it's just super well written because, you know, if you didn't know, she's actually a published author.
Yes, but we don't know saying who she is.
Yes, but she's actually a published author, so she like can write very well.
Mm-hmm.
As far as fan art, we're recommending Shibara. This is another person I feel like is pretty well known kind of throughout the fandom. Their work is just stunning, and I'm sure I'm not going to do justice by describing it, so go check it out. Mm-hmm. But like they're just very well rendered. The bots are structured really well, and it's just the colors are super pretty to look at.
An extremely skilled artist.
Yes. Today we've linked to some Seekers. This one. So it's the trio. The Trine. The Trine. A very, very grumpy little medic bot.
Yep. Surrounded by incompetence, and she just looks like she wants to toss the
flip the
DJD out the window.
As you do. And then they actually did a companion piece for I Alone Have Escaped to Tell You. And it is beautiful. It has kind of Megatron and Galvatron sort of back to back, and Cyclonus, and just, again, absolutely beautiful. I love it. You can find them in a ton of places. I'm gonna forewarn you that some of the stuff that isn't Tumblr is explicit, so we will post links, but you traverse at your own comfort level, I think. You're probably pretty totally safe on like Tumblr and Twitter though. They have their own websites. We'll link to a few of their older accounts. I'm not entirely sure they're still using. A lot of people have like vacated DeviantArt, but they still have a DeviantArt app. And then, you know, the rest of it, like I said, I think on their actual website they have like this medieval art piece up there right now. It's just, it looks like fun.
Mm-hmm. And that just about wraps it up for us today. Remember to check us out on Tumblr or Pillow Fort as Afterspark-podcast for any additional information, show notes, or links we may have mentioned. You can also find us on the site formerly known as Twitter at AftersparkPod, all one word, and various other locations by searching for Afterspark Podcast, such as AO3, iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube, just to name a few. And feel free to send us questions on Tumblr, YouTube, or AO3. Till next time, I'm Specs.
And I'm Els.
Toodles!
The chin ultimate chin of all chins. I don't like it.